Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic, here with something a little different. I've featured a lot of decks here on the channel in the past year, many of which I've built personally and played in paper on streams while guesting on the channels of various people. But I have a tendency to build decks, play them for a few weeks, then tear them apart, rarely revisiting a deck unless I particularly enjoyed it or if there have been some great new additions to the deck that really give it a boost. So today I'm going to go back through some of the personal decks I featured here on Twitter and on Patreon and let you know what cards I'm excited to add before I potentially revisit them in the future. We're going to start with Yedora Gravegardener. This mono-green aristocrat deck was featured as a Twitter exclusive recently and turned out to be a lot of fun. Infinitely sacrificing lands or attacking people with massive trampling forests is always satisfying. This deck got a few goodies in Modern Horizons 2. The first piece is Tireless Provisioner, serving as landfall redundancy for Lotus Cobra. Tireless Provisioner can make you a food or treasure token, though most commonly a treasure, on landfall. Since a non-token creature dying returns to the battlefield as a forest with Yedora out, it means that we profit, literally, whenever a creature we control dies. It ends up being a lot like a green pitiless plunderer. We can use this to fuel combos like with Perilous Forays, allowing us to put every forest from our libraries onto the battlefield. The next piece is Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. This is an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth for forests. This helps turn on some forest-specific synergies within the deck, like with Life and Limb or Ambush Commander, ensuring all of our lands, as opposed to just our basics, are forests. Really neat. Next up is a patron-exclusive deck around Rionya Fire Dancer that I shared last month. Patrons at any level can get access to it and a bunch of other exclusive content. This deck is part creature-based, part spellslinger, aimed at making copies of creatures with powerful enters the battlefield effects like Goblin Chainwhirler or Inferno Titan, then running opponents over. Now this is a deck that I really want to put Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer in. While I can't make copies of the monkey due to the legendary rule, this little pest can certainly help ramp me fast in a deck like this. Slamming a turn 1 Ragavan can ensure that I can cast Rionya on turn 3 with mana to spare. However, the current price tag on Ragavan is a bit much to ensure its inclusion. I am making room for Harmonic Prodigy though. This human wizard looks like a good beater with prowess, but is actually a Strionic Resonator or Panharmonicon for shamans and wizards. And Rionya just happens to be a wizard. This will help double up on Rionya's trigger, making just stupid amounts of creature copies. Double or quadruple effects if you're making copies of a shaman, like with Stormkilled Artist or Fanatic of Mogus. That's a way to quickly end a game. Next up is Osgir the Reconstructor. This Lorehold deck features ludicrous amounts of ramp for a red-white deck, and while playing it on stream, I have easily made 20 plus mana on turns 5 or 6 to sink into an X spell and blast my opponents away. This deck got a nice additional 0 mana value rock to copy in Soul Talisman. Why pay 1 mana for a Soul Ring when you can pay 0 mana for 2 Soul Rings? That's what you get with Osgir. As long as you can use your looting or rummaging effects to get the talisman into your graveyard, it's a no-brainer to jump you way ahead of your opponent's mana production. This deck also got 2 new artifact lands that help function the same way Darksteel Citadel, Great Furnace, and Ancient Den do. Artifact lands can be used with Osgir's ability to get 2 token copies of them. Enter Power Depot and Rustvale Bridge. While they do come in tapped, the fact that you can make 2 copies of them for 0 mana offsets this disadvantage. Power Depot can also create any color of mana for artifacts only, and Rustvale Bridge makes red and white. These 2 slot in seamlessly into the deck. Now a quick update to my Galazeth Prismari deck. This is a higher power stacks-based build that I put together for a few cEDH games. I think it surprises nobody that Academy Manufactor fits perfectly into this list. If you can curve the Manufactor into Galazeth, you can easily have all the mana you need to lock down the board. Plain and simple, this is a flawless synergy with your commander and many pieces within, much like Dockside Extortionist. Stretching back a bit further, we have my Orvar the All-Form deck. This one is a pride and joy of mine that I absolutely love to play, but it turned out to be too powerful for many tables and a tad too linear. Making infinite copies of mana artifacts or drawing my entire library took precedence over the ways I wanted to win, like with mechanized production. As I published this deck prior to Strixhaven, I've since added a few cards. The first is Archmage Emeritus. As the goal of the deck is to end up casting your buyback spells infinitely, Emeritus helps by churning through your library and grabbing your win conditions. Casting a Whim of Volrath to make infinite Gilded Lotuses is great, but it only nets you a bunch of tapped Lotuses. Unless the Archmage assists in drawing you a card for each time you cast it. This can get you a dramatic reversal to untap those Lotuses, or just draw you deep enough that Thassa's Oracle can win you the game. Speaking of Whim of Volrath, there is a new tutor in Solve the Equation that was printed. Since consistency is the name of the game, when leaning into the higher powered combos, it's easy enough to make room for this 3-mana sorcery that grabs you one of your buyback tools. Lastly, one of the best new removal spells in blue, Suspend, has made the list. It's an easy add, as in a pinch you can target one of your own creatures with it to make a copy to suspend the original, ending up with 2 copies of that creature 2 turns down the road. Pretty slick. Now my Fynn the Fangbearer Snakes on a Plane deck got a couple new pieces too. This low-to-the-ground mono-green aggro budget deck proved its worth time and time again, and has earned a spot in my regular repertoire. First is a strict upgrade to Rogue's Passage in Access Tunnel. Since none of the creatures in the deck go above the 3 power mark, this is a simple way to save mana in making creatures unblockable. No issues in making a straight substitution. Then there's the new card Smell Fear from Modern Horizons 2. Being a common, it fits within the budget limitations of the deck and is not only a fight card, but proliferates as well. Everything we want in a deck full of death touch creatures and poison counters. You can even cast it just for the proliferate if you don't want to lose your creatures in a fight, since it does say it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Not bad at all. Now, a few months ago, I posted a hypothetical high-powered commander deck asking if Affinity could make it in cEDH. Well, as if Wizards heard my pleas, they printed a whole bunch of new Affinity cards in Modern Horizons 2. This ranges from Thought Monitor, which can essentially be a 1-mana Mull Drifter in a deck that's this artifact heavy, without the need to be evoked or sacrificed, through to Esper Sentinel, easily one of the best cards to be printed in recent memory. It's a 1-mana artifact creature that draws cards. Naturally, it's going to fit right into any white deck, but especially one focused around Affinity. Urza's Saga is a great include here too, as this deck is packed full of small but powerful artifacts. Not giving your opponent the ability to counter cards like a Pithing Needle, Altar of the Brood, or even important mana rocks like Mana Vault are great for this kind of effect on a land. We did get a few more modular creatures too, which are definitely updates and improvements to some of the modular creatures we had in the list. Arcbound Mouser is better than Arcbound Worker, and Sojourner's Companion is a strictly better Mirror Enforcer, letting you artifact land cycle if you so choose. Notably, I would not include the new artifact lands in this list. At this high of a power level, I definitely avoid any lands that come into play tapped. Lastly, my pride and joy, too many Gyrudas. This Miara and Sakashima partner deck features a Gyruda companion and is aimed at making as many copies of Gyruda as possible. My current record is 11 at a time. I built it way back during November of last year, my charity event where I shared a deck list a day, but it has quickly become one of my favorite decks ever. Since then, I've been fine-tuning some of the balance in the deck, adding and removing a few pieces and playing with some old pieces. Through playing, I found that getting a dead Gyruda back was crucial, so I added in 2 cards to help this effect. The first is an old classic and oversold Cemetery. This enchantment lets me return a creature from my graveyard to my hand in my upkeep if there are 4 or more creatures in the yard. Fortunately, with Gyruda milling everyone, that happens more often than not, and can assist in rebuying my clones from the graveyard each turn too. The second is Null Priest of Oblivion. This efficient 2/1 Menace lifelinker for 2 mana comes with Kicker to reanimate a target from the yard, perfect for early game plays to create a body, or late game plays to get Gyruda or another clone back from the yard. The latest addition is a card that was made for this deck. It's Dalthy Voidwalker. At 2 mana, it fits our even mana value only clause for using Gyruda as a companion. The biggest upside is that it still allows me to steal creatures from opponents milled with Gyruda, even though they go directly to exile. This is thanks to the phrasing on Gyruda, which doesn't state the creature has to return from a graveyard, just one of the milled creatures. Perfect! This denies my opponents the use of their graveyard as a resource and doesn't hinder me. It has the added benefits of being able to cast anything milled for free too, and with previous additions in the deck, getting Dalthy Voidwalker back to use again and again isn't going to be an issue. So there you have it, a few small updates to several of the decks you may have seen me play over the past several months. I like to go back and revisit decks on a regular basis, but this is the first time I've shared some of those inclusions with all of you. Let me know if you found this helpful, and be sure to check out my affiliates if you're looking to pick up anything we talked about today. As always, folks, good luck and have fun.